All right. So, I'm pretty sure we've all had that one person or that one friend who's always, we feel like we can trust them. They've always done that one thing that, we just we don't agree with, like, kind of stab you in the back, if you will. So, quote is, a pessimist is a man who looks both ways before crossing a one-way street by Peter. What I think this means is that, I don't really agree with it. I feel like we should all be aware of, even though it's a one-way street, cars are only going one way, we should always look both ways. We don't know who's crossing the street, who's driving the car, and we don't know the circumstances. So, again, who's driving the car? You don't know, it could be a maniac driving the car who's just, looking out for someone to, hit, if you will. Again, we always have those friends. We don't know who, a person's true intentions, even though we've known them for years. So it's always good just to always be aware. I'm not saying be paranoid about everything, just be aware. Always kind of be ready for people to take a left turn and try to hit you, if you will. Yeah. So then we go to the circumstance. We got into our circumstances. I know in Mexico there's streets that are a one-way street, but certain from this time of day to this time of day it's going from north to south. From this time of day to this time of day it's going south to north. So you gotta know, we have to look both ways. We have to know the people we're around. We have to know who's there, who you could trust and who you can't, if you will. And with that being said, I feel like we should all be aware of of who's around us, but not to the point where you're paranoid about everything and everybody.
I give you respect for going up there, bro.
One down, one more to go.
All right, well, the visualization that you had of the friend stabbing you in the back at the beginning was a little bit vague, and how it ties into the topic wasn't particularly clear. I guess the idea is that ultimately we need to be really cautious about things, and you're disagreeing with the quote, suggesting that caution is an appropriate way to act. I think that that's probably a good way to go with the topic. I think that's a reasonable interpretation. Now, in what places or situations should we be cautious? You kind of get stuck sticking with the idea of crossing the road. I mean, the next thing I know, I'm in Mexico looking at traffic going two different directions. You're taking it so literally that you are not able to find other things to talk about, and that's one of the things that shortens your presentation. And there's not really a structure there. Now, it's a pretty good example, but it's the same example in the quote. It's basically saying the same thing. What should we be cautious about? If you went back to the example of your friends and you think they're loyal to you, you think they would never betray you. Why do we have to make assumptions that there's always a possibility that somebody could do something wrong or make a mistake? I think you can find an example to talk about that. I mean, it sounds like you had that experience. You said it right at the beginning. So tell us a little bit about that. If you don't want to name names, you don't have to name names. You could make up a name for that person. But tell us that story and then make that one of your supporting points. As it is, it just feels like it's a little surfacey when you're talking about the material. Presentation-wise, I think your voice projects well. You've got a nice voice that I think will work well for speaking situations. It's resonant and you project effectively. You're pretty fluent the whole time you're speaking, so that I think is pretty solid. Some of the nonverbal things that are a little bit problematic, you have a tendency to put your hands in your pocket when you're uncertain about what to do. Then you switch in one hand from one pocket to the other hand in the other pocket, and you knock the key fob a couple of times. That makes a little bit extra noise. You know, that's a bit of a distraction. You want to be careful about those kinds of things. Okay, we're going to stop there.
Who would have been